Namaskar. In today's edition of Right Angle, I want to share briefly my thoughts on what the RSS chief, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat, has said about the importance of the fraternity in the country. His statement, or rather, he gave this lecture a few days back, and his address has been received, or rather, has evoked a mixed reaction. Certain section of the Indians, and particularly some of our religious leaders, they have some problems with Bhagwat's statement, whereas majority of the so-called liberal minds and even nationalists, they think that Bhagwat's statement is actually a visionary one. What exactly did he say? He said, but actually before what he said, let me give the context of any statement that is made by any person, and particularly a big leader or some great important personality. One has to see his comment or text in a context. And what is that context? That context is this, that this is a very troubled period that India is undergoing. It's not a question of India undergoing. I think almost many democratic countries all over the world are undergoing. In the sense that I have been repeatedly, as I have mentioned it to you in my previous editions of this Right Angle, that there is a huge polarization has taken place. And in this polarization, the so-called left liberal and the Islamists of the world on the one side, the nationalists, and on the other side, are really doing their best to really prove that what they think is the right thing for the world. And in this, what is happening is this: the unity of the country in this highly polarized world, whether it is US or whether it is Europe or whether it is India, unity of the country, the solidarity of the country is very, very important, because in this politics of polarization, the left liberal and the Islamists of the world have joined hands together. They want to really, they only can succeed by dividing the countries, by dividing the societies. So they only talk of the divisive issues that divide people, that do not unite people. And they have succeeded in their game plan, as you say, what has happened in Bangladesh today, and what is precisely happening in India today. India, over the last, say 1 or 2 years, particularly these elements and what we call are controlled by the deep state abroad. And I once talked about the deep state and this left liberal Islamists and some governmental organizations of the some Western countries, plus some rich people, NGOs. They have tried their best through their agents in India to divide India. And I have no hesitation whatsoever in saying that these divisive elements in India, who actually are the puppets in the hands of this deep state abroad, are many, and they are being led by none other than the Congress party, and particularly its leader, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. So they may talk of Bharat Jodo, but everything that they are doing is Bharat Todo. That means how to divide Indians, And the best way to divide Indians, particularly when most of the Indians have supported one particular party or one particular government led by Mr. Narendra Modi over the last 10 or 15 years. उनका एक ही गेम प्लान है, इसको कैसे कमजोर किया जाए और इनको कैसे कमजोर करेंगे. How they will do that? The best thing is that divide their support base. And what is that support base? The support base is these broad nationalists, and in this country the Hindus who really constitute 80% of the people. You divide them in the name of caste census, and then distribute everything, get this vote bank politics. So this is the mahal that have been created. Unnecessary controversies do erupt, and at the beginning of every session of the parliament, and then everything, Supreme Court for them is wrong, judiciary is wrong, in general, then all the machineries like election commission is wrong because they do not win. And then they talk of so-called EVMs, what and what not. All these things basically delegitimize everything, every institution in the country, just because they are not in the power, and they want to create chaos. They want to create anarchy in the country, being puppets of this deep state abroad. So this is the context. This is the context in which Bhagwat Ji made that very profound statement. And what is that profound statement? He says, particularly this mandir, masjid controversies that are arising everywhere. What is that thing, mandir, masjid? You see, unfortunately, and that is a fact of history, that this country was under Muslim rule for thousands of years, 7th century onwards, how the Muslims came to India and how they established their rule till they were dethroned by the Britishers. And during that rule, everything, whether, let's not go into that part, but the fact remains, many masjids that have been built, they have been built on the, destroyed temples. So if you see, you will be finding lakhs and lakhs of masjids in country. If you go and say that Archaeological Survey of India, go and test it, and they will be finding some of the remnants of a temple. Then where all this will lead to? I think the most sensible thing that was earlier agreed upon or argued by broadly the Hindu leaders, and including nationalists, like I consider myself to be a nationalist. I always have believed that, look, let's forgive and let's forget, but our Muslim brothers and sisters also should be sensitive to our thoughts. Then suppose we believe in three supreme gods, like Ram, like Shiva, like Krishna, and it so happens that in all these famous
places which have been linked with these three important Hindu deities, Hindu deities, Ram, Shiva, and Krishna. Everywhere, in Ayodhya, there was a mosque. Fortunately, that issue has been settled after years of judicial battles, and then a magnificent grand temple of Lord Ram has been built in Ayodhya. But two more remaining such spots are there. One is Shivji's temple there in Banaras, and then the Krishna Janmabhoomi temple in Mathura. So the point is, we cannot correct every historical wrongs that have been done. But then if our Muslim brothers and sisters become sensitive, and then now that Ayodhya thing has been settled once and for all, the similar settlements will be done in these two important places, one in Varanasi and another in Mathura. And then we should be magnanimous enough that
let's forgive and forget. In the sense that hasn't happened, and whatever happened is nothing good has happened. It is wrong that has happened. But then how to correct these wrongs? In the name of correcting these wrongs, as Bhagwat ji rightly said, if they will go and reclaim lakhs and lakhs of mosques that have been built on the destroyed temples in the past, where all this will lead to? That means permanently for years to come, the Hindus and Muslims will be fighting here, and mostly it will be not confined to this peaceful or resistance or this judicial battles, and it may give scope for violent protest to break out in the process, resulting in communal conflicts. And this is precisely what our enemies want to destabilize India, who want to really break India. They are waiting for. They think that if the Hindus and Muslims and all over India, this fighting takes place for temples and mosques, then the entire world will be laughing at us. We are now the fifth largest economy. Our Prime Minister wants that by 2047 we will be developed country. And I think this morning, I read the newspaper. According to IMF's prediction, 2028 India will be third largest economy after US and China. So, but the point is, any economic development which ultimately will lead to the social justice and social development, because if we are rich, if we have got more resources, then poverty will be eradicated, many social schemes will be implemented, and country technologically, scientifically will be a great country. For that you require political stability, you require social stability, you require peace in the country. And that is the context in which Bhagwat ji made that, what I say, a visionary statement. And I think every patriot Indians should actually support what Bhagwat ji has said. Let me stop here, and thank you very much for your patience. Namaskar.